the level ground, and like the ground was level and there were like trees, and at the lake stood one existing cabin. And after they realized they were stranded, they built two more cabins sheltering 59 people in hopes that the early snow would melt, allowing them to continue.
Oh, okay. Dude, I would have just hunkered down. I guess they don't have enough food, right?
Not really.
But they're in like a forest-ish. Can't you like
Yeah,
hunt?
they definitely could have.
I don't know if you'd last the winter
No. Well,
though.
maybe this is them hunkering.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm saying
like just
like
plan on
if there was
not,
already
yeah, plan
snow.
on not going any
Yeah,
further.
just right, just stay the whole winter, but I guess that's a long time if you don't really have anything stocked
Right.
up.
Um, the 22 people with the Donners were 6 miles behind at Alder Creek. And as the snow continued, they built three shelters from tents, quilts, buffalo robes, and brush to protect themselves from the harsh conditions.
Oh
At
wow.
Donner Lake, two more attempts were made to get over the pass in 20 feet of snow, and they realized that they were
Okay.
basically stuck for the winter. So they built
Yeah.
more small cabins, um, and they were shared by like more than one family. And they're what the weather and their hopes were not to improve. Over the next 4 months, the remaining men, women, and children would huddle together in cabins, make makeshift lean-tos and tents.
Oh, okay. So they did like hunker
Yeah.
down
And
basically.
then on the opposite end, Reed and McCutcheon had headed back up to the mountains attempting to rescue their stranded companions, but 2 days after they started out, it started raining. And as the elevation
Mm.
increased, the rain turned to snow. And 12 miles from the summit, they basically had to give up. So, like, it's like 12 miles on either side of the summit. Like, I really feel like
Right.
it's not
They're
that
so
far. Yeah.
close. That's sad.
Yeah. They cached their provisions in Bear Valley and returned to Sutter's Fort, hoping to, like, basically get more, like, supplies and men. But the Mexican War
Mm.
had, like, taken up any able bodied men, forcing any, like, rescue
Oh,
attempts to wait. And
dang.
no, like, they didn't know how many cattle that the people on the other side of the mountain had lost. So they thought that they would have enough meat to last several months.
Oh, yeah. Yep, they still had all of
Yeah.
them, yeah.
And on Thanksgiving, it began to snow again, and the pioneers at Donner Lake killed the last of their oxen for food on November 29th. That's
Oh,
so
wow.
fucking early to not have any oxen.
Yeah, that is right. So they lost like fi around 50, so they probably only had like 10 or something
Yeah.
left, maybe.
And
Or
yeah. And
yeah,
then the next day,
or
yeah.
5.
Yep. And the next day, 5 more feet of snow fell.
Oh,
They
wow.
were pretty much, they like, that's when they knew they were not moving. Um, the
Yeah.
mules had wandered off into the storms and their bodies were lost under the snow. And their last few cattle were
Oh,
slaughtered for food, and they began eating their boiled hides, twigs, bones, and bark. And some of
uh,
them tried to hunt with little success.
yeah, because everything's hibernating then and
Yeah.
stuff. Or under 20 feet of
Right.
snow. Wow.
On December 15th, which is my brother's birthday, Ballas Williams died of malnutrition, and the group realized something had to be done before they all died. The next day,
Mm.
5 men, 9 women, and one child departed on snowshoes for the summit, determined to travel the 100 miles to Sutter's Fort. Imagine going 2,400
Okay.
miles, you only have 100 miles left, and everyone starts dying.
Right. At least they had snowshoes. I wasn't sure what they
Yeah,
had. I would be doing that. I'd be like, yeah, let me
right.
walk. Gotta get out of here.
And yeah, on the sixth day, They only had, like, they barely had any food and they were already, like, half dying, so it was gonna be, like, a hassle. But on the sixth day,
Oh,
their food ran out, and for the next 3 days, they did not eat anything while they traveled through, like, basically a winter storm. Um,
right.
Charles Stanton went back again. Like, he's been there and back a few times now.
Yeah.
Basically, he was snowblind and exhausted. He couldn't keep up with the rest of the group and told them to go on, and he never rejoined the group. A few days later, they
Oh.
were caught in a blizzard and could not, like, light a fire.
Oh, wow.
Um, Antonio, Patrick Dolan, and Franklin Graves and Lemuel Murphy pretty much died, and the others resorted to cannibalism. Living off
Hmm.
of the bodies of those that had died along the path to Sutter's Fort, the snowshoeing survivors were reduced to 7 by the time they reached safety on the western side of the mountains on January 19th, 1847. Only 2 of the 10 men survived, including William Eddy and William Foster, but all 5 women lived through the journey. Of the 8
Nice.
dead, 7 had been cannibalized.
Wow.
Immediately, messages were dispatching to neighboring settlements in the area as they went, like, basically needed people to go back for them.
Right, yeah.
On February 5th, the first relief party left Johnson's ranch and headed, like, and the second one, headed by James Reed, left 2 days later. On February 19th, the first
Hmm.
party reached the lake, finding what appeared to be a deserted camp until the ghostly figure of a woman appeared. 12 of the
Wow.
people left were dead, and of the 48 remaining, many had gone crazy and were barely, like, alive. And of
Right.
course, the nightmare is not over because not everyone could be taken at one time, and they couldn't bring any pack animals, and they didn't really bring much food with them. So they took
Wow.
23 people, and during that, like, trip back, 2 more children died. And then the first
Hmm.
relief party met the second relief party going the opposite way, and the Reed family was finally reunited after 5 months.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's nice.
On March,
I can't believe they were there from like November
I
to
know that's a long
February.
time.
Yeah.
On March 1st, the second relief party arrived at the lake, finding a lot of evidence of cannibalism. And the next day, they found Alder Creek to find that the Donners had also resorted to cannibalism. There's a lot
Wow.
of cannibalism on this.
Well, what else are you
Like, yeah,
supposed
I
to do,
mean,
I
they're
guess?
already dead. But what is there to
Right. As
eat?
long as
I don't even. Okay, we're not thinking about it. We're not thinking about
yeah,
it.
we're not gonna talk about that. I don't know. I don't know
No.
if I could do it.
On March 3rd, Reed left the camp with 17 of the starving immigrants, but just 2 days later, they were caught in another blizzard. And when it
Oh my
cleared,
gosh.
Isaac Donner had died, and most of the refugees were too weak to travel. So Reed
Mm.
and Hiram Miller took 3 of the refugees with them, hoping to find the food that they had stored on the way up. And
Oh yeah.
the rest of the pioneers stayed at what would become known as Starved Camp. On March 12th, the third relief party, led by William Eddy and William Foster, reached Starved Camp, where Mrs. Graves and her son Franklin had also died. The 3
Mm.
bodies, including that of Isaac Donner, oh, you guessed it, had been cannibalized. The next day, they arrived at the
Wow.
lake camp to find that both of their sons had died. And on March 14th, they arrived at Alder Creek Camp to find George Donner was dying from an infection in the hand that he had injured. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
And his wife Tamsy, though in comparatively, like, good health, refused to leave him, sending her 3 little girls on without her, which is kind of
Mm.
sweet.
Yeah,
And the relief,
but
yeah,
still.
the relief party departed again with 4 members of the party, leaving behind anyone who was too weak to travel. 2 of the rescuers, John Baptiste Trudeau and Nicholas Clark, were left behind to care for the Donners, but soon abandoned them to catch up with the relief party. A 4th rescue
Dang.
party set out in late March, but they were stranded by a snowstorm. And on April 17th, they reached the camps to find only Louis Keseberg alive with, I don't even want to say this, the mutilated remains of
You
his
don't have to
former
say that.
companion.
You don't have
Well,
to
I
say
said it.
it.
And he was the last member of the Donner Party to arrive at Sutter's Fort on April 29th. It took 2 months and 4 relief
Wow.
parties to rescue the entire surviving party.
Can you imagine being the last
I'd rather
person?
die. Like, I would have been the first one to go. I would have said, end it now.
You would have asked them to
Yes.
kill you. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, throughout this whole thing, 2/3 of the men died and 2/3 of the women and children survived. 41 people died and 46 survived. In the end,
Interesting. Why is it that's
in the
weird.
end, 5 children died before reaching the mountains. 35 died at the mountain camps or trying to cross the mountains, and 1 died just after reaching the valley. Many of those who survived lost their toes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh shit. So, obviously, the story of this tragedy spread quickly, and newspapers printed letters and diaries and accused the travelers of bad conduct, cannibalism, and even murder. And the surviving members had differing viewpoints, biases, and recollections. So, what actually happened was never really that clear. A lot of people blamed Lansford W. Hastings, while others blamed James Reed for not listening to his friend at the beginning about the route. And after the publicity, immigration to California fell off sharply, and Hastings' cutoff was pretty much abandoned. But then in January 1848, they discovered gold at John Sutter's mill in Coloma, and gold-hungry travelers began to rush out west again. By late 1849, more than 100,000 people had come to California in search of gold near the streams and canyons where the Donner Party had suffered. Donner Lake,
I'd be mad.
Donner Lake, named for the party, is a popular mountain resort near Truckee, California, and the Donner Camp has been designated a National Historic Landmark, and they have been doing recent archaeological excavations.
Wow. I'd be mad. Well, good thing it was abandoned
Yeah.
though, like for a while, the cutoff or whatever.
Yeah.
See, news can travel fast if it's a tragedy. Well, that's it for this episode. As always, our sources for the episode will be in the description, as well as our social media links. We're on Facebook and TikTok, all under Let's Be Briefed, so check us out there for updates. Also, you can email us at letsbebriefed@gmail.com if you have ideas on future topics you'd like us to cover. We're always updating our list with topic options, so if we know you're interested, we can bump a topic up the list. Until next time, stay brief.